Hello there. Today I want to talk about one of the biggest pandemics of our time, and that is pandemic of projecting our wounds and trauma into our relationship. Men view women through their projections, and women view men through their projections too, all the time, most often unconsciously. And it's like, let's say, a woman or a man had a negative experience in past in relationship, and now they view the opposite gender in the same negative traumatic way as their past relationship, as their ex. It's like viewing reality through trauma-induced filters. And often one or more than one such negative experiences can determine how we will perceive rest of the world or other people from the same gender, even though not all individuals are the same. When we project this past hurt unresolved onto others, it's like we automatically and prematurely apply the same template to others to protect ourselves, not to experience the same painful situation again, and to avoid it at all costs. And here we have trust issues often with other people. And it's not even that we don't trust others. I would say it's even more about we're not able to trust ourselves or our ability to select the right people for us. And we can often see these distortions online and offline as well. For example, for men, it's quite common to perceive it like if a woman dresses in a certain way, or if she's doing certain thing on social media, that means that she's a hoe, or she's gonna cheat, she's not trustworthy, or the only thing that she's able to bring to the table is her ass, and she's basically not able to bring to the table anything like meaningful. That's one way. Let's take another example. So women often also project their fears from past abuse that they experienced from other men. They got abused by other men, and now they are viewing reality through the same lens when looking to other men, even if they hadn't had contact with these other men at all. But it's like there's the same. They're potential rapists or maniacs, or they're toxic, or women even see, let's say, a kind action from a man as a red flag, because in their mind he must be doing this only with a hidden agenda to manipulate. While that might occur and be possible, that's not always the case. It's not a guaranteed outcome. So often these projections distort what is actually happening in the present moment. When we project our unresolved past wounds, we're living from victim consciousness. We're at the mercy of someone else, perceived mercy of someone else, and we don't take enough credit for our own power. When there is a victim consciousness, It's often used to punish others, to blame others. Now, victim consciousness is often used to force others into a certain perspective that validates the person's identity that is centered around I am victim. Yeah? To seek validation and approval and confirmation that I am right, you are wrong. Even if that means I am disempowered. When we are into victim consciousness, we are hiding from our unresolved past wounds. And we're not responsible for our own life fully. Instead, what we do is we give that power, we delegate that to someone else. We decide to view that power is outside of us, that someone else owns that. And that's why we need to control the certain narrative or be controlling. And that's not mature adults' action. What that is living from a wounded inner child perspective. A more healthy approach than staying in a victim consciousness, also about our past relationships and blaming only others, is to own our own decisions and really ask ourselves the question, why and how did I attract this person in my life? Why did I choose this person over others? Like, what this person mirrored in my life back to me? Was it my own lack of worth, shame, maybe a guilt, or any other unprocessed emotions, deeply suppressed anger or fears? It's a very powerful reflection process, and that allows us to be accountable for our own choices and decisions. And in this way, we are not in a victim mode anymore. Once we become aware what was mirrored back to us from our partner or other people, in other relationships, then we realize that it was not actually the other people who caused suffering. They were not the precursor for the suffering, but there was certain belief or feelings that made us view the reality in a certain way and impacted our decisions. That led to us choosing the people that would reflect that. Our beliefs and feelings prior to us meeting this person in a relationship was the precursor that determined that we would choose this person so that it could mirror back to us what was already inside of us. These beliefs and feelings within us determine what type of people we chose to invite in our life and how we relate to them. So instead of blaming others, all of the rest of the men or women for being bad, just like your, let's say, ex-partner or other people from other relationships, take responsibility for your own selection process. Like, why did you invite them in your life in the first place? What was so attractive about that? Why did you decide to say yes to that? And not only take responsibility for your own selection process, but also recognize moments when you are projecting something, some past unresolved emotion onto others. When this happens, we don't even give chance to others, but we initially automatically assume and judge them. And often these assumptions and judgments are not true. They're not correct. We just see them through past distorted filters or lens. We see them through what happened with us in the past, and we are not fully present with them. It's like we don't even know the person, but we already assume and judge certain things about them. The thing with the past experiences is that when we experience them in the moment, they can seem very overwhelming, and our ability to perceive them in a more balanced way is not as good as when that situation has happened, the experience has happened, and a certain time has gone, and now we have this gap between what happened and the present moment, and we're less emotional. The emotions have eased, let's say, and we're capable of looking back at that situation retrospectively in a more balanced way, because the emotional charge has gone down, and the emotional attachment is not as strong as it used to be in the moment when we experienced this. And yeah, when this happens, often we realize that what we perceived as predominantly negative or only negative situation, over time we're able to see also the positives. What was the lessons that we learned from that experience? What was the blessing? What did this situation mirrored back to me? What type of triggers were brought to surface to show me that, hey, these things inside of me are still not processed and I'm holding on to them. So this type of, let's say, these situations that we initially call as negative ones or purely negative ones, they can also be seen in a certain way as blessings to help us raise our own awareness. Now that doesn't mean that we justify all of the abuse that happened, if that happened, during these situations. No, not at all. It's simply being able to see not only the negative, but sometimes to see that there is also some positive moments too in this, and this allows us not to only see rest of the world always as black or white, as just good or bad, but to be able to see it in a more balanced way through different perspectives, that it's not just one vantage point, but there are more. These past hurtful experiences can be used in a positive way to alchemize the painful energy that was already inside of us and let it go. So we don't have to cling on to the past negativity and stay into the victim mode. No, the opposite side of that is self-empowerment, taking ownership and responsibility for our own life, and to turn around that negative experience and not dwell on it and live in it and allow it to dictate our future. Because when we project past stuff, that always means that the past is still dictating how we perceive and what type of decisions we make in the present moment in the future. That means that the past recreates the future, basically, if we allow this to happen, and we're not aware of it, and we don't change that. When it becomes clear the reasons why we attracted the person that we did in our life, from our side, like what was our thinking and feeling process, and what that person mirrored back to us, then the next time we're able to recognize that those patterns again, and next time, instead of being completely unconscious about that, now we're more aware, we're more conscious about that, and we can actually exercise our free will and choose differently. If you notice that the next person is also repeating the same type of behavioral patterns, you can say no to that. Sometimes universe likes to test us and see if we did learn the lesson, or will we repeat the same again. Now we see lots of distortions happening right now in the world, and it's possible to see the reality completely in an opposite way and to project a negativity over a positive situation, and vice versa. We can also project positivity over a negative situation when there are multiple objective red flags, but for some reasons we still decide to ignore that and find it in an opposite way. One of the reasons why people sometimes choose to project positivity over negativity, or to dismiss negative indicators, is that there is fear of abandonment. They don't want to be abandoned, and they want to belong to something, and that's why they choose to stay in dysfunctional dynamic. That's also possible. Now, why is this happening, that we humans in certain moments we project the opposite of what is actually happening? It happens because we view reality from the unprocessed, wounded parts within us that experience this negative experience and internalized it as truth. It's possible to reframe everything, negative into positive, positive into negative. NLP, baby, replacing lies with better lies, yeah. But it doesn't, with the intention to have self-empowerment, but it doesn't mean that it actually brings us to more self-empowerment, because context matters. It's possible to gaslight ourselves or certain parts of ourselves or other people and dismiss certain valid perspectives. If that's the case, then we're talking about suppression. We're acknowledging part of the inner truth that's being held within us by one or more parts, and we decide to ignore them and push them away. Well, guess what? When we do that, the inner conflict remains, and the resistance is created even more, because we refuse to acknowledge part of ourselves, and that's not healing. That's postponing the actual healing and integration. Solution to these projections is to do an inner work, become aware of our own emotional triggers. What unmet needs lies behind these triggers that we need to meet, to take conscious action to meet those needs? If behind the triggered emotions there is a unmet need of validation, then what we do is we seek out ways how we can start validating ourselves more. If it's about safety, then we do all that we can that is required and is necessary to feel safe. If it's connection, then what we do is we first develop an intimacy with ourselves. And from this place, this projected energy, we will attract people who will mirror back this energy. Sending you lots of blessings and love. I'll see you in the next video.